Imagine, if you will, that you could learn to write songs just like that. That you would get an idea, and instead of being frustrated, the process would be open, creative, and interesting. Well, I don't know about interesting, but in this video, we're gonna talk about the things that I learned in this process. Let's get started, shall we? I'm Jake. This is Songwriter Sunday. In this segment, we're not going to play a song. We're going to talk about what I've learned over the course of a year of being intentional about songwriting. So grab a cup of coffee and let's chat. What are we going to cover today? We're going to talk about being intentional, what I learned about being intentional, my songwriting process, the few tools that I use. Then we're going to talk about exploring the boundaries and how you can mix it up a little bit so that your songs don't always sound the same. And to that end, how can we add color to the songs that we create? We'll talk about AI and the future of songwriting, and then what comes next in the process. Let's get started, shall we? More coffee. Being intentional. I had always been a person that always waited for inspiration, which is fine. And I've talked to other songwriters that sort of have that same take on it. Being intentional maybe seems artificial. Certainly, maybe when you start and you're struggling and you're looking for something to write about. And in fact, when I had seen other artists that I follow talk about scheduled writing sessions, it blew my mind. It's like, you do that and you're successful with that? How does that work? And it was when I challenged myself. I had gotten to the point where I felt like I could write a song about anything. And I even had offered for people to send me a title, send me a context, send me characters, and I will write a song about that. Because what do I talk about a song is? I'm not a big pop guy. I tend to be more of a storyteller. And I say that what I'm shooting for normally in a song is it is a 2-act play in 3 minutes. So you have a character or characters, context, you introduce the setting, maybe conflict, and then resolution. Where's that story going to go? And then hook. The other thing that I was thinking about is when I would do an album project, I would typically have 6 or 7 songs ready to go when I would be thinking about writing a 10 song or doing a 10 song project. Having had waited for inspiration. So I've got half a dozen songs in my back pocket when I go in the studio. But then when I'm under the gun, I'm in the studio, and here I am waiting for inspiration. Inspiration. Come on. I need to write 3 or 4 songs to complete this project. Now, how much pressure do you feel? What is the quality of those songs when you take the first thing that you write? So I thought, how about if we change this up? I set this goal to write a song a week, and then have 52 songs in my back pocket, and then be able to take the best of the best and think about the kind of album that I want to make, what collection of songs and their respective styles go together. So I'm thinking about the long-term down the road value of this thing. And for other songwriters in this journey, you think about, well, how many songs have you written? I've written a butt ton of bad songs. It's part of the process that you go through. But even writing a bad song helps exercise the cognitive creative function. You got to write a lot of bad songs to get to the gem. Okay. So, what's my process? Now, I'm going to talk about my process, might be different from your process. And I talked about, I've been doing this for a long time. And when I started this year-long journey, I felt I was a pretty good songwriter when I came into it because I've written a lot of bad songs. So I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready for some gold. Well, I don't know if we found any, but we sure as heck tried. What happened was my process became only more ingrained in my brain. And these neural pathways that you build around things that you do over and over again just get activated and the whole thing becomes easier. That's the difference in being intentional. So when an idea does come to me, man, I'm ready. I'm ready. So what's the number one tool? This dude right there. When inspiration comes or I have a song idea, somebody said something, I've said something, I've thought of something, my stupid brain won't turn off when I'm trying to go to bed. That's when I do a lot of writing, have to roll over and turn this thing on and then write down the idea and hope it makes sense in the morning, though I have gotten up in the middle of the night to write something that wouldn't allow my brain to shut off so I could go to sleep. But having notes and a list of songs, or a list of song ideas rather, I can turn to when it's like, okay, we're gonna start writing. All right, let's go through the list. What's speaking to me? Now, I didn't always go to the list. Sometimes when I'm just exploring chord progressions in various keys on my guitar, ideas would come to me. For example, the first time I really wanted to dig into minor harmonic keys resulted in the song Dirty Little Secret. When I played the chord progression that I became happy with, the lyric just popped right in my head. And you got to take those gifts, and those gifts will come to you as you exercise your brain more and more. I also like to say there's a paradigm called a field full of diamonds, and that is you are surrounded by diamonds. You may not even recognize them. And what I mean by this is you can write a song about literally anything. I could write a song about this cup of coffee. Ooh, it is warm and delicious. I could write a song about this video. I could write a song about this hat. In my last album, I wrote a song called I'm Gonna Drink This Beer. It came out of a conversation with a musician friend of mine, and I was talking about this process and saying I could literally write a song about I'm going to drink this beer. But then you have to go maybe ask why and who's drinking the beer and that sort of thing, and then it becomes a story. Also, you may have your own personal sayings, or you have your own background, stories about your background, your childhood, your job. These are all fodder for the songwriting machine. If you've got a favorite saying, man, that sucker's waiting to have a song written around your favorite saying. Start there. That's great. And sometimes I will ask people, is there something that people say about you, or there's your go-to thing? That's a song right there. Also, it's called Songwriter Sunday, this year-long channel that I created, but that was typically the end of the process. Sometimes the process would start on Sunday. I've learned to, if a song's not coming, to don't push and be patient. Sometimes I just write a verse. Sometimes I just write a chorus. I set it down and I come back to it, especially if I'm sort of feeling stuck. Yeah, sometimes it is a 15-minute wonder, and I will take those gifts when they come. It's, man, I'm struck by lightning and bing, bang, boom. I got verse, chorus, bridge, and I'm out and I'm on with my day. And it is amazing. In fact, there was a couple Sundays where I actually didn't like where the songs were going. There was one Sunday in particular. I wrote 3 songs before I got to one that I was happy with. Got 3/4 of the way through some songs, and I just set them aside and go, that's crap. I mean, even for me, that's bad. Yeah. So sort of that's the process. And then you talk about the tools. I talking about tools. So yeah, number one, my phone. Putting in song ideas when they come to me, and I don't have time to actually write the song. But they come, idea comes to me, and my phone is chock full of them. Like I said, in a field full of diamonds paradigm, the songs are all around us, but you might miss them if you don't write them down. Or you get an idea and you didn't write it down, and now you're sitting there thinking, oh, what was that idea? And now you're stuck. Also, when you think about tools, I get offers that show up in my inbox for tools now and then you have to pay for. Yeah. I don't use any of that. And I also will say that I write 99% of my songs on the guitar these days. And so I have found 2 tools that are free. And you might have heard of this thing called the internet. Yeah, it turns out there's a lot of stuff out there that's for free that can help you. So one thing that I like to use is Rhyme Zone, because you can get caught in a rut. You get caught in certain rhyming ending. The song sounds very repetitive, sing-songy. Ugh, I hate that. What I do like to use, sometimes I get stuck in a song idea. So like if I've written down a verse and then I'm thinking about, well, where can this thing go? Well, what vocal ending am I finishing on? What can I use and go into Rhyme Zone and just look at the rhymes for that? And sometimes it'll give me ideas about where I can take the song, especially when I'm stuck. It's one of those deals where if you look at a thing too long, sometimes a Rhyme Zone for me is sort of like a fresh set of eyes on where this might go. The other thing I really, really like is using near rhymes that are words that vocally sound similar, but aren't like 100% rhyme. I really like those because we'll talk about color in a second. It can add texture and color to the song. We'll talk about that in a minute. The other tool that I like to use, I was not a music major, and some people know this stuff like the back of their hand. But for me, I really like a website. It's called guitarchords.org in the UK. And what's really nice is there's just a drop-down menu. And you go, am I going to write the song in a major key? Am I going to write it in a minor key? Is it going to be a minor harmonic? And it has the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right there for you. And it even has some suggested chord progressions that are popular in that key. And we'll talk about that in a second as well. Now, let's talk about exploring the boundaries of songwriting, because you might find yourself getting in a rut. Again, not just with the rhymes, but how you write songs. Do all your songs sound the same? I want to make a distinction between a song that sounds like you wrote it. You think about major artists. Some of my favorite songwriters, Don Henley, Lennon and McCartney, James Taylor, these sorts of folks. When you hear a Journey song come on, or you hear a Van Halen song come on, it sounds like those guys. The distinctive sound, distinctive way of playing. I've developed my own way of playing over the years. The way I do finger picking, I have a particular hammer-on style that I use when I'm finger picking, or when I'm playing 2 or 3 note chords, with my strumming pattern, how I do palm muting, how I do percussive playing on the guitar. There are certain feels that are me. And so if you listen to the song, you're going to go, oh, that's a Jake Gray song. Yeah, I get it. But the thing is, I really wanted to use this year to explore the boundaries of how I write. So exploring tempo, exploring strumming patterns, trying to try some different tempo patterns, alternative fingerings of guitar chords that would add color to the song. Sometimes that would inform the feel of the song. Writing songs on the upbeat or reggae style, or different time signatures. Have you ever written a song in 3/4 time, or 6/8? 6/8 is one of my favorites because you can really hit the power on the downbeat. I love those. And going back to guitarchords.org.uk, are you stuck in a 1-4-5 rut? 3 chords and a cloud of dust will take you a long way. But that still leaves the 2, 3, 6, and 7. Have you tried using those? I love using, especially like the 2 or the 6 in a particular key, as transition chords as I'm changing the feel or doing the transition. And one time, just as an experiment, and it resulted in the construction of the song I'm a Mess, I was just like, the chords in a key, if you play them in succession, it sounds very natural. I mean, that's the sort of the engineering behind the music, right? If you play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's what we did on the structure of I'm a Mess. Now we mixed it up a little bit there, but I just thought, can we just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah, it turns out you can. It sounds super cool. That song's going on the album. So yeah. Okay, let's talk about color. So I talked about near rhymes. I really like near rhymes because it makes your brain sort of pay attention. It's like just off enough that you go, what was that word or color? I know some of my musician friends would probably say I'm a little too fond of stops. I do like to put a hard stop in the middle of a song, but it's got to fit, right? You got to have a reason why you go, bring the stop, and then take off again. Well, you got to think about how you perform that too. Everybody's got to be on the same page. Changing up the tempo or the feel of the tempo, going from slow to fast. If you're going to go kind of a legato thing, smooth, and then you switch to really kind of driving, then you bring it back again. That brings color to the song. Changing up the volume. Yes, going from soft to being loud. That's a technique you'll hear all the time, especially if you come out of a bridge, bring it down a little bit. Now we're going to go back into the chorus and be loud again and really hammer the hook home. Yes. Changing the key. I've done that 1 or 2 times. I'm not a super big fan, but I mean, yeah, another way to add color. Adding a bridge. Are you stuck in verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus? Musical interlude, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. Yeah, add a bridge. Adding a bridge, you can do all of these things that I talked about. You could change the chord progression, you could change the key, you could change the volume or the tempo, and you could, yeah, changing the chord progression and then do what I call sort of sticking the landing. If, for example, in your verse or your chorus, you're in the classic 1-4-5, when you come out of the bridge and maybe you've done something different, you're on the 6, you want to have that bridge in so you come stick the landing, you're back in the 1, you got a smooth transition back into your verse or chorus. But bridges, especially when you change the volume, change the chord progression, maybe change the tempo or feel, really add some color. And you see that all the time in modern music. I'd say songs without a bridge these days tend to be the exception. Then we'll talk about AI and the future of songwriting. There's no doubt that the artificial intelligence tools have come a long way. You could put in a song prompt into ChatGPT and it'll slap out a song for you in seconds. In fact, I did a little experiment where I gave it the prompt, ChatGPT stole this song for me, and I turned that into a song. What it output, it took that single prompt, and I was thinking, yeah, but is it going to write a bridge? Oh, yeah, it's writing a bridge. Did the whole thing. Now I went in there and tweaked it to fix a few things, but I mean, within seconds, you had something ready to go. I think long-term, though, AI is only going to make the corporate music business more corporate and more, and sort of when you hear music on the radio, you go, ugh, that is so corporate sounding. That song sounds like it was written by half a dozen people and went through the marketing department before it came out the other end. Yeah. I think eventually artisanally human crafted songs are going to become a marketing point. Oh, sure, you're listening to your favorite corporate country artist? Well, I listen to Jake Gray for artisanally human crafted songs, songs that were written by a person, But I also think about, who are you creating for? I tell you, I do love feedback and I love feeling appreciated. I love having written something that connects to another human being and having them share that a song connected to them, that emotional connection. That is the best. But it's the creative process is what activates my brain. If nobody liked the song, would I quit writing? No, I get so much enjoyment out of the creative process, and it is such a release for me. At one point in my life, songwriting was really the only constructive way I could express emotions. Crap in your background sometimes. It's hard to get stuff out, but songwriting became that release for me. What is it a release for you? The creative process is its own reward. And as you practice your craft, it only becomes more rewarding. We've talked about being intentional, my process, tools, exploring the boundaries, color, AI, and the future of songwriting. You're probably wondering, Jake, what's next? Well, I talked about how I used to approach an album project. So what do I have now? I have 52 songs in my pocket, and I've picked the top 11 that are most likely to go on the next album. We're going to re-record a song from a prior album and probably do a solid 12 song album. But I think this next one's going to be really solid because it's the best of the best, and songs that sort of match. There are some songs that I wrote for myself, not really a fit for what I want to do with the next album. They're good songs. I just, not making the cut. Songwriter Sunday will continue, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do for the next little bit is each week I'm going to break down each of these facets of the songwriting process into small little videos. So there'll be little lessons that you can refer to in just that little piece. So you don't have to dig through this long ass video of me droning on about what I learned. And you can go right to the piece that maybe you're struggling with or you need a little help on. Small, digestible videos. And that's it. That's what I've learned. Old dog did learn some things. This is Jake Gray. What I learned in Songwriter Sunday, 1 year in.